One of the biggest mysteries and question marks still surrounding the David case is exactly what was going on behind the scenes with David and Celeste's relationship. We've seen enough evidence to suggest that he was seemingly in a relationship with this minor who was only 14 when she lost her life and was brutally murdered and cut up and put in the trunk of this idiot's Tesla. But one of the big things that has really been kind of muddying the waters with regards to the relationship between Celeste and David is the rumors of pregnancy. Now, obviously, she's a minor. Any sexual interactions between him and her are illegal, statutory, right? Ain't no debate, ain't no consent, it's not even possible. But apparently, according to prosecutors, there have been, messages between them that suggest maybe a pregnancy had occurred, maybe an abortion was being planned, maybe Plan B contraceptive.
Freaky ass nigga. Freaky weirdo ass nigga. Bruh. Like, fuck the performative shit, nigga. This shit wild. This shit wild as fuck to me, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you. This shit is just crazy as hell, bro. This story, this the wildest shit. The wildest. Like, wildest. And as far as like the whole gore culture shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember a time where that shit was like around. It was infamous. I wouldn't say famous, but I remember, and I done seen a few Jones run. You know what I'm saying? Like the wildest shit. This shit right here, bro. I ain't even gonna hold y'all, bro.
Was being used, these kinds of things, and it's still not conclusive as to whether this was true. It seems to suggest from the prosecution, at least based on conversations that David and Celeste were having, that there was some kind of pregnancy scare, but we don't know the full facts at this stage. So in this video, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into the theories, some of the evidence, some of the discussion around Celeste being pregnant, potentially at the time of the murder, and that might give even more motive to why David could have allegedly murdered this little girl, because she might have been pregnant with his child, and that would have been pretty bad for the career. She was apparently threatening to ruin his career. If she was pregnant, hey, that would be even worse. Okay, and I'm not...
Get that nigga the needle. Nigga.
Saying it's okay. I'm not saying that. I'm not... disgusting. All disgusting. And if that was true, it just makes the story even more despicable and disgusting. So this is TMZ's reporting from about just over a week ago. Okay. It's a David murder case. Unknown if Celeste was pregnant. The death certificate was updated. So this was really interesting. They announced that the death certificate on Celeste Rivas Hernandez was actually updated. Said there's some important notes and updates in the death certificate for Celeste. The document now reflects the fact that the LA County medical examiner says she was murdered, and it's now unknown if she'd been pregnant in the year before she was killed. TMZ obtained the new...
No cap. When this shit first went down, I'm not even gonna hold you. When this shit first went down, I said to my girl, I said, that boy got that girl pregnant. And he fucked around and killed her because she got pregnant. I caught that shit. And through all the years of all the past year, damn, why does it feel like this shit been going on for like 2-3 years now? But all the months of information that we've been getting, and the whole time I'm just like, bro, I'm telling you, he got that girl pregnant. Look, come on, man.
Death certificate, and it no longer says she was not pregnant. Now that section is marked U for unknown. The new certificate says cause of death has been corrected from deferred to multiple penetrating injuries, and the manner of death is updated from pending investigation to homicide. The document was also corrected to say the injury date, hour, place, and location were unknown, with the section stating describe how injury occurred. Events which resulted in injury now says with objects.
Now, he pleaded not guilty, which implies to me that he had at least 2 other people. Everybody think it was 1 other person. I think it was 2 other people. And without the motive, it's going to be real hard for them to try to put that body on one sole person. But he's done. Like, as far as right, he's cooked regardless. He is cooked, but I hope his ass go fucking down, nigga, like underground.
So this opens the door to the possibility that she was pregnant at the time. Now, I did see some comments on Reddit suggesting that, this can be a bit of a normal thing when it comes to autopsies and death certificates. A lot of women can get marked unknown for pregnancy. That's not a yes, that's not a definite, but it's not a no either. So it's a possibility, according to the death certificate, that she might have been pregnant at the time of her death. Now, interestingly enough, okay, we saw it previously. There was already a little bit of evidence. There was a series of messages in David's Discord quite some time ago of somebody discussing a pregnancy, and this kind of did fit in with the timeline of alleged abuse when it came to Celeste. So let me just see if I can get access to this page Rudy here. So it was a deleted user, someone saying, I think I'm pregnant. Oh my. A pregnant Discordian said, why do you think you're pregnant? My belly's getting bigger. Unexpected. They're saying, are you a virgin? It says, it's easier said than done. Sometimes something kicks in my belly. They're saying, no. When was the last time you had sex? They said 2 months ago. So some people have speculated that this might have been Celeste in the Discord talking about she pregnant. Okay. Someone talking about 14. Yeah. I thought you was older. That's the part that someone's talking about 14. I thought you was older. Like, a lot of people thinking this is Celeste. Some people have tried to debunk it and suggest it's not. They're saying your birthday. But
why debunk it? It's people actually out there that's, and I'm not saying like, what's untrue is untrue and what's true is true. But at the same time, you actually got people actually trying to, in the name of David, discredit Celeste, which is just disgusting. That shit is atrocious to me. And the detective team. They're trying to really what's the word I'm looking for? They really try and downplay the justice system. You feel what I'm saying? At a certain level when it comes to this shit. Like, cause every time, it's always a situation where grape is involved, bro. You gotta handle that shit with delicacy. And every single time, it's like more and more people. Oh, she lying, she capped, she this and she that. Oh, it's just victim shaming. Just straight victim shaming, bro. At the end of the day, bro, because it happens, we have to pay attention to it anytime anything like that or anything close to it is brought to our attention.
Different person, deleted user 2 months ago. Make sure you're really pregnant or not. If yes, tell the father or parents. So anyway, there's been a few little Discord messages floating around that have seemed to suggest that Celeste may have been pregnant and talking about it in the Discord. Now, there's been quite a few different, discussions of this on Reddit. This was 10 days ago. It says this is when it was announced. The prosecutors have evidence of Celeste being pregnant at some point. And this was from the paperwork. It says recovered texts between David and Celeste contain references to sex, pregnancy, abortion, and the use of Plan B emergency contraceptive, the brief alleges. Burke and Rivas also exchanged illegal photographs documenting corroborating their sexual relationship. Okay.
Charge on charge.
So combine all that with the DNA evidence that was found. It says it's possible that she may have just thought she could be pregnant, but wasn't. And people saying, I also don't think this is proof that she was actually pregnant.
Bro, it doesn't matter. He was fucking that girl, bro. It don't fucking matter whether she was pregnant or not. My nigga, the nigga is guilty, period. Like, and see, this is all a distraction. It's a distraction, bro. This is a distraction. Dead ass, bro. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Y'all making whole 3-day long conversations on whether or not this girl was pregnant. At the end of the day, this girl lost her life. This tiny little girl, this tiny person. That's what I call children, tiny people. This tiny person. She wasn't even full grown as far as length, weight. She didn't even finish growing yet, my nigga. You feel what I'm saying? It's certain things in life that is nothing to us by now in our lives at the ages that we are, that she never even experienced yet. You feel me? That shit is just crazy as fuck to me, bro. I don't understand it.
Just proof they were discussing the possibility. This says there was evidence that they talked about their pregnancy and abortion. It says evidencing that. See, if you look at the way it's worded, it says numerous text messages between defendant and victim evidencing, and now it goes into a list of things that are evidencing their sexual relationship, pregnancy, abortion, and use of Plan B. The way that's worded would suggest to me they have text messages between them that evidence a pregnancy. That would suggest it happens. Not saying they discussed a possibility, saying evidence of a pregnancy and an abortion. Sounds like that's what happened. So I think that's really, really interesting if you read between the lines and you get into the detail. Okay. It says, I'm going to wait for more evidence before believing she was pregnant at some point. It says jurors will have to ponder this if it goes to trial. Would a conversation in which Celeste says, I'm pregnant by text and they discuss abortion, the actual texts aren't released in the documents, be enough to convince you? It's somewhat immaterial as it's not directly about the main charges. However, it would be one of the several strands of evidence that the two were sexually active since she was 13. People saying exactly, to be honest, it doesn't matter if she was pregnant or
There's already evidence that they were sexual active. They have child porn. They definitely have child porn. Custom child porn, homemade child porn from David's hard drive. They have it. They don't need text messages. They don't need text messages. I promise you that. And I can tell you without going into nasty detail, they don't need text messages between each other for them to know that David was fucking that girl.
not. The real thing is, did he have an inappropriate
Raping.
relationship with a child? This is just another piece of evidence that screams yes. That aids in the motive for the murder alone. Pregnant or not, his motive would still be he killed her to silence it getting out that he was a PDF. Okay, a file of that sort. It says, well, the court doc says evidencing their sexual relationship, pregnancy, abortion, and Plan B usage. That means at some point, yes, she was pregnant, and with the same pregnancy, I'm sure she had an abortion, which would have had to have been within the first trimester. The medical examiner wouldn't be able to determine if someone was ever pregnant if they didn't go past the first trimester. Also didn't help that she was badly decomposed, which makes it 10 times harder to determine if she ever was pregnant. Interesting. Okay, it says this is the evidence. They talked about their sexual relationship. So it's saying, if you read between the lines very carefully, it says she was pregnant. It says evidence of their pregnancy, right? It says you're misunderstanding this. It doesn't say Celeste pregnancy. It says pregnancy, which most likely means they were discussing pregnancy and abortion at a high level. No, but it says evidencing their pregnancy. There was text messages that evidenced their pregnancy, not the possibility. I think that's saying she was definitely pregnant, to be honest with you, if you just read between the lines.
There is no reading between the lines. Y'all just don't know words. It says it plain and clear in black and white. Y'all chasing a chimera at this point. It says it in black and white. The girl could have sent them a photo of a pregnancy test. Y'all never thought about that. But carry on.
For example, what they would do if she got pregnant. It doesn't say what they would do. It doesn't say evidencing what they would do if she got pregnant. It says evidencing their pregnancy. Full stop. Evidencing their pregnancy. It says, I made a post due to the decomposition. She could have been in earlier stages of pregnancy, but we will have to see when the pregnancy conversation specifically happened. And that's exactly that. That's why the medical examiner determined she wasn't pregnant. That's not what happened. But he can't determine for sure if she was ever pregnant. She most likely had an abortion before the first trimester. And with her being decomposed, it makes it harder to figure that out. I'd like to see the text messages before concluding Celeste was pregnant or had a pregnancy scare at some point. This is very vague, and they could have been discussing ways to avoid pregnancy. Medical examiner says she definitely wasn't pregnant within a year of her death. Well, that's not really what was said. If necessary, the DNA might need an expert, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it means she was pregnant, but that they had S and was afraid, so they could go get a plan B. She was never. They said she was never. Bro, it says they evidenced pregnancy. Am I bugging? Let me know in the comments if I'm bugging, because I really feel like if you actually just read the text, just straight stone cold sober, just with the facts and the words, numerous text messages between the defendant and victim evidences their sexual relationship and pregnancy. Evidenced it. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it sounds like she was pregnant.
It sounds like she was
Not
pregnant.
based on the autopsy. The autopsy and the medical examiner, they might not be in a position to determine.
Y'all don't even have any dates on whether or not, or y'all don't have the dates on when this conversation even happened. Like, let's be for real. She could have got an abortion. And in some odd weird way, David could have got mad about that abortion. Because let's be for real, he's a creep. So he's already felt in love with the child that he illegally made with a minor. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. In some weird world, some weird universe. That's a possibility. You know what I mean? I still just can't wrap my head around this. I really can't. But on every video I do when I cover this or do a reaction covering this, send the hearts out to Celeste family. Rest in peace, Celeste Rivas. And keep an eye on these kids and the people that surround these children. And we out. If you didn't know, I can make you dig your boat.